Hey everyone, welcome back to Bagel TCG. Today we have a deck tech for Viserai, and it's the list that I think is pretty likely to win Worlds, or at least a list pretty similar to this. With the release of Rosetta, we got a large amount of new powerful Runeblade class cards, and I think they benefit Viserai the most. He can do this very redline deck at the moment with almost no blues and get away with it pretty easily. There's no ice or frostbites in the game at the moment, so there's really no reason to pitch cards unless your class needs you to. And I don't think Viserai particularly needs to. So let's get into the deck tech here. You're going to see a lot of the deck leans into being as pitchless as possible and trying to get the hero ability to activate. Viserai does get rewarded probably more than most heroes for being pitchless because his hero ability actually scales with how many cards you play. Right? It says whenever you play a Runeblade card, if you have played another non-attack action card this turn, create a Rune Chant token. So you actually get an extra, essentially free arcane point of damage to a Rune Chant for every single card you play. So the more cards you can play, the more pitchless you can be, the more free damage you will get from your hero ability. So if you can play the full 4 cards every turn, one of those is a non-attack, and you can actually play the other 3 that are all Runeblade cards. You'll be getting 3 extra damage basically from your hero ability every turn, which is really, really strong. So let's look at the armor we have to support this. So the first thing you might notice is that we're not playing Grasp. Of course, Grasp is really, really good, and it blocks quite well, but it does cost 2 to activate, and we're never pitching in this deck, really, or at least rarely pitching. And Grasp is pretty good when you have a lot of blues because you can grasp and then swing with Reaping Blade to get, kind of 4 value from a blue. But we're not really trying to do that. We are trying to be, like I said, as pitchless as possible. So Vexing Cool Hand does a much better job here. It's always going to get at least 2 value because you can destroy it to get 2 rune chants. So it'll always do 2 damage, which is pretty on rate for arms. Most arms get 2-ish value. And so it's already doing pretty good there. It comes with the free Arcane Barrier, which is nice because you don't have to have a sideboard spot for Arcane Barrier if you need it. But mainly, we have a lot of cards that get discounted based on how many rune chants you have. And this is kind of an emergency button. If you draw something like Amplify the Arknight, for example, this costs 3, but we're really only ever wanting to pay 0 for it. And it costs 1 less for every rune chant. So you want to have 3 rune chants. If for some reason you got really unlucky and your hands just didn't line up to where you get rune chants, this gets you 2 of them at least, so it'll only cost 1. And if you already have 1 sitting around, or you can easily make 1, you'll get all 3 from this, which makes it, yeah, much better than just 2 rune chants, right? It's 2 damage plus a discount on other cards. We're also not playing the normal Spellbound Creepers because, once again, those cost resources to activate. They cost 1 to use. Instead, we're going to play just Snapdragon Scalers. They're free to use. We play a lot of stuff that would benefit from this go again. Lots of zero-cost attacks like Arcanite Crackle, Hocus Pocus, even stuff like Snatch, which is hiding in here somewhere. And we get all that value right in the deck. And actually, I think I forgot to add Snatch, but we'll switch that out in a second. I think it should be over this Arcanite Crackle. Other armor we've got Aether Ironweave. Tunic is in the sideboard because it also works well here. But yeah, I think Aether Ironweave will be better since games are going to go so fast. You'll probably only get 1 value from Tunic most of the time anyways. Like the game's probably, maybe you'll get 2 resources from it, but most of the time you'll just get 1. This will always just block 1 and then get you 2 resources, which you can use for Reaping Blade, plus some stuff in our deck does cost 1, like Meet and Greet is one of our only 1 costs, so you can use Ironweave to play Meet and Greet and then play Reaping Blade, which is really powerful if you can play them both for free, essentially. Then we have a lot of different headpieces in this deck, but Face Purgatory is the, I guess, default one, but there's not really a default one. There's 2 others in the sideboard that you can switch between. They're all good depending on the matchup. Face Purgatory is against going tall decks, right? If you think they're going to attack for 6 to 7 or more pretty regularly, you're going to get value out of Face Purgatory. We also have Balance of Justice in the sideboard against anything you expect to draw 2. And we have Crown of Providence against decks that you think are more likely to disrupt your arsenal. So maybe like a new, for example, that has a lot of arsenal disruption. Crown of Providence will let you bail out of one of those. Before we keep going, I'm going to make sure think I, for some reason, didn't get the snatch save changed. So we're going to do that, or not. Yeah, we shouldn't have 3 Arcanite Crackle. I was switching that to snatch at the end. So I'm just going to quickly change that out. Arcanite Crackle is actually a great card. It's another good 0 cost. It blocks better. And Snatch does have the counter synergy where it's not a Runeblade card. So it's one of the few cards in the deck that won't trigger your hero ability when you play it, but it's kind of too good not to play, right? It's a 0 for 4, and if it hits, draws a card, so it replaces itself. So it's really like the most busted card if you can get it to hit. And it's a staple for aggro deck, so it definitely should be in here. Most of the deck is Runeblade. I think the only generics are the 3 Snatch, the 3 Ravenous Rabble, and then the 1 Gorganian Tome. And the Gorg Tome is actually not any anti-synergy. It's pretty synergistic with the hero ability. But yeah, that is the kind of default armor. Like I said, the only other equipment we have are the 2 optional headpieces, and then the Fiendel Spring Tunic. This is for longer games. So if you're against a really disruptive or slower deck that's looking to block you out, you'll probably get enough value from Tunic. You can just, every time it comes up, use it for a free Reaping Blade swing, and it's just kind of converting pretty easily to 3 damage there. Don't worry that much about trying to swing Reaping Blade as much as you can. I mean, it's like we're pitchless, so we're not really going to pitch for it very often. You should really only be doing it, yeah, if you have a yellow that works like that. Like we're playing a few yellows, we're playing 9 yellows and 3 blues. So if you draw a yellow and you feel like pitching it, it's fine. Maybe if you draw a yellow with the meet and greet, which does cost 1, then you can convert that yellow kind of okay into the meet and greet plus weapon swing. And then maybe if you draw a blue and want to do that, that could work okay as well, like with Sonata. But we're not too stressed about Reaping Blade swings in this deck. You're pretty strong pitchless already. Now let's get into the actual core of the deck here. As I've kind of stated before, we are trying to maximize Viserai hero abilities. So we'd like to start every turn off with a non-attack to get it activated, and then ideally play 3 Runeblade cards after that to get 3 kind of free damage through Rune Chance there. We do also play Sonata here, so this is the first card we'll talk about. This most of the time will replace itself with an attack. You'll basically always pick 0 as the X, so you'll reveal the top 3 cards. For each non-attack, put an attack action revealed this way into your hand. So hopefully out of those 3, you reveal 1 non-attack and 1 attack. It doesn't really matter what the third card is. The best case scenario is 2 attacks and 1 non-attack, because then you can pick between the 2 attacks. You pick one of those attacks, put it into your hand, and then deal 1 arcane to the opponent. Pretty powerful because it replaces itself. If we can ever just play a free non-attack that replaces itself, it basically lets you get 1 extra rune chant out of Viserai, right? Because now instead of using 1 card and then only having 3 left to make rune chants, it just replaces itself. So you still have a full 4 cards to activate Viserai, and you can maybe even get 4 rune chants out of it. But to make this happen more often, of course, you need to have an even split. So we are playing like a perfect 30-30 split of non-attacks and attack actions. I don't know if you need it to be an exact 30-30 split. I'm really doing that intentionally. Maybe it can be 31-29 or something like that. I'm sure you would still have pretty good hit chance, but to get the best possible hit chance, that's what I have as my ratios at the moment. Similar role is this one of Gorganian Tome. It just costs 0, draws a card, has go again. It really does nothing except just replaces itself instantly and does nothing else. But the main thing is it does count as the non-attack for Viserai. So you play it as your first card for the turn, and now Viserai hero ability is on. Once again, you'll still have 4 cards in hand to hopefully get 4 free rune chants. Now let's go over kind of the bread and butter non-attacks, which are the Malefic Incantations. These are probably, or not probably, they're definitely the best card that Viserai got out of Rosetta, and what really makes the deck hum. It's 0 cost non-attack, as most of our cards are. With Go Again, has 3 verse counters when it enters, and once per turn when you play an attack, you remove a verse counter from this to get a rune chant. So getting these spread out rune chants across multiple turns is really powerful. It keeps it so you have constant rune chants coming, which is really important for stuff like Amplify the Arknight and Rune Flash. These are our 2 primary discount cards. They're really, really powerful when you can play them for free. When you play this for free, it's a 0 for 4 Go Again. And when you play Amplify for free, it's a 0 for 6. Both are really, really above rate, but you need to have 3 rune chants out. And so these Malefics are important to that. They're so good even that we'll play the yellow. Obviously, it's strictly worse than the red for this deck, but we really just want as many copies. Of course, we would just play 6 reds if we could, but it's just so good that we're playing both. Sorry, we actually have another discount card. We have Drawn to the Dark Dimension as well. I forget about this one a lot because it's kind of a bit more niche. This one you have to usually end the turn with. It's a bit harder to get this one off, but it can be cool if you do. It only costs 2, so you only need 2 rune chants out. It could be a good one to do with Vexing Quill Hand. It only attacks for 3, but it does draw a card, so it replaces itself, which is really nice. It's kind of a free 3 damage. It is a bit harder to make work. Like, obviously, Rune Flash is the easiest. You just throw out for 4 damage with Go Again. Keeps your turn going. Drawn, you have to kind of play with the deck a bit and learn how that one works. And we even have the Runic Reckoning. This one costs 1 less to play for each rune chant. It only costs 1, so you only need 1 rune chant for this one, and it gives your next Rune Blade attack action +3 with Go Again. So lots of stuff that actually cares about rune chants. Am I missing any? Because I feel like I keep... Yeah, I'm missing Sonata Galaxia too. There's so many new ones now that I'm used to just the default, Arcane Rising. But now we have Runic Reckoning as well, and now Sonata Galaxia. This costs 1 less to play for each rune chant you control. You only really want to play it when you have 4 rune chants, or you can end your turn with it, and then it's fine if you just play it for 0. But if you want it to have Go Again, you need to have 4 rune chants, because X has to be 2. You search your deck for Runeblade Aura with cost X or less, put it into the arena, then shuffle. I think the main aura is basically always going to be like Red Malefic Incantation. I don't know off the top of my head if we have any other auras here. I think that's the only aura, actually. But that's why we're only playing 2 of these. We have 6 copies of Malefic, so you should always have one in the deck to grab. And it's just, Malefic's really good. This lets you grab it for free with Go Again. Yeah, it only has Go Again if you have 4 rune chants out, but if you end your turn with it, that's fine as well. Other non-attacks, our big pop-off non-attack is, of course, Mordred Tide. Until end of turn, if you would create a rune chant token, instead create that many +1. This can be really insane with the right setup. Of course, if you have a big hand of 5 cards, that's a free rune chant for every single Viserai activation. It also makes Malefic make extra rune chants, which is really good. Stuff with like Deadwood Dirge. This is a new non-attack from Rosetta. It costs 0, destroy an aura you control, and if you do, you get 3 rune chants, so this will make 4. The really nice thing about Deadwood Dirge is you don't have to target the aura you destroy. So you can play this with 0 rune chants. If you've played a non-attack already that turn, Viserai will make a rune chant, and then you can destroy that rune chant. So for example, if you play Gorganian Tome to start the turn, and then you play Deadwood Dirge, with 0 rune chants, before this triggers, Viserai will make your first rune chant, and then you can destroy that rune chant with Deadwood Dirge, and it's basically just making you 3 rune chants with Go Again. So really strong. You also have Revel and Rune Blood. This is like a higher ceiling, but more conditional one. It makes 4 rune chants with Go Again, but you have to have played an attack action and a non-attack first. And it also destroys all rune chants at the end of your turn, so you need to make sure you are able to swing with all of them that turn. So much more conditional, but 0 for 4 rune chants is obviously pretty insane. Other rune chant generation, we do have this other new card, Hocus Pocus. It seems pretty lame on the surface. It's just a 0 for 3 damage, but it does make a rune chant when it attacks, which is pretty helpful with how important rune chants are to the deck overall. I think that's all the rune chant generation. Yeah, and then the rest is mostly focusing on the attacks. So we want as many Go Again attacks as possible. You could probably guess that due to the nature of Viserai hero ability that I've discussed a few times now. Just trying to get that over and over. You want as much Go Again as you can. We do have some turn enders. We've seen Drawn to the Dark Dimension and Amplify the Arknight. We have some 0 cost that maybe you can use Snapdragon Scalers on. But then we have a lot of other stuff that just has Go Again, like Rune Flash, the new card from Rosetta, Rune Rager Swarm. It's a 0 for 3. If you've played or created an aura this turn, it gets Go Again. Once again, a card that's so good, we're playing the yellows as well. We've got Ravenous Rabble. Unfortunately, not a Runeblade card, but is usually a 0 for 4 Go Again in this deck. Meet and Greet does cost one, but if we play this off of a yellow or off of Aether Ironweave, we get to swing Reaping Blade, which makes it way more efficient. It's a great card. If you deal arcane damage, it has Go Again, and if it hits, it makes a Rune Chant, which is pretty nice. Of course, we've got the classic Swarming Gloomveil. This is typically in this deck a 0 for 4 Go Again. Of course, that's scaling based on how many auras you've made that turn. Then Snatch doesn't have Go Again, but is another great turn ender. The only cards we haven't really touched on are these two at the end here. So we have Succumb to Temptation. This is a way to get some Go Again if we need it. It says if you've dealt arcane damage this turn, you may play this as though it were an instant. And it says the next time a Runeblade attack action card you control hits a hero this turn, look at their hand and choose a card. They discard it. So really insane. If you've dealt arcane damage, this gets you a free action point. You play as an instant and it has Go Again. And then it also has nice disruption as well. And then Become the Arc Knight. That lets you kind of tutor your deck for anything you want, which is always good, and it's the only blue we play. In the sideboard, we have that equipment we went over. We have a few extra blues in the form of Machinations. This lets you give some Runeblade stuff Go Again. Ninth Blade goes well with Read the Runes. These are slower when you need to set up, and they stack a bunch of Rune Chants. So Ninth Blade here costs 1 less for each Rune Chant, but it costs 9, so you need to stack up to close to 9 Rune Chants first. And then Read the Runes, 0 to make 3 Rune Chants. Doesn't have Go Again, so more of a setup card you want to end your turn with. Maybe to get closer to that 9 for next turn to play your Ninth Blade. I'm playing Sigil of Suffering here. I think maybe Red Mauvrin Skies is actually better in this slot, so you could consider that as well. Sometimes you do want that extra Go Again. I think maybe even Red Mauvrin Skies or Machinations of Dominion should be in this main deck. We do have quite a few cards like Amplified, Drawn, and Hocus Pocus that would be a bit happier having Go Again from something like Mauvrin Skies or Machinations, so that could be something to consider. But for now, I have Sigil of Suffering. This is nice. Of course, it's a 0 for 4 block and deals 1 to the opponent if everything goes well, so it's like a 5 value defense reaction. Nothing to dislike there. It's very, very good. All around high value card. That's the deck. I think something, like I said, maybe not this exact list, but it's a good place to start, is going to be for sure in the top 8, but maybe even winning worlds this weekend. So be sure to check it out. I think keep your eyes on Viserai. It's definitely going to be one of the breakout decks of the event. I think it's only horrible matchup that it's going to be scared of is Zen because of how much Zen states mess up Rune Chants, but otherwise it's pretty good into the rest of the field. It's not even disrupted that hard by the classic disruptive decks like New, because it really isn't even playing any blues, right? So stuff like Siren's Call or her hero ability don't affect it quite as much. Of course, it's still a bit hard, but also stuff like Weakest Link, Erase Face is not going to make Viserai quite as sad as it would stuff like Dash.io. So a great deck. Like I said, there's some stuff to optimize still. I think maybe you might want some of these Mauvrin Skies in the main board. It depends how heavy on Go Again we need, but something like this is going to be really powerful. I'm happy to see Viserai back in the spotlight after kind of being dead since Skeletor was banned, like well over a year or two now. He's been pretty bad. He was okay with Rosetta Thorn still with the Mauve Shrill deck, but that was also been a while now since Rosetta Thorn's gone. So yeah, it's nice to see Viserai back in his rightful spot as a powerful Runeblade deck. Be sure to leave any comments below. Remember to like this video, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.